Opposite Gloves here, and this is another FL12 effects, and we're going to be talking about the chorus today. And I realize there is just a ton of stuff on my screen, but just to tell you how things are, I've got a harmless. It is going to a mixer track that's got a chorus on it, which would be the master, and I've got a wave candy, and it's got an orange waveform, which I am so excited about. I am playing a sine wave right now to start, to just demonstrate some basic principles about the chorus effect. This is a really cool plugin. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So I'm going to show you some principal things. Essentially what a chorus does is it clones your signal and feeds it back into itself with slightly different pitch variations to create a lush sound. And with a sine wave, it's only got one tone versus like a saw wave that's got all those upper frequencies and stuff. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the DSP basic video, which stands for digital signal processing, on essential knowledge. And I think it's like the fourth one. It's labeled 4. I think it's the fourth one in the series too. And it'll explain a lot of stuff you need to know. So I'm using a one tone just to demonstrate some generic principles. So we have a wet only option. This controls, it's the wet dry knob. All the way on is wet only. Off is dry signal, all the dry signal and the wet signal combined. Versus wet only is, as you can see, nothing's getting through right now. So what's going on? Well, we have a cross type right here. This is only high frequencies and this is only low frequencies are let through. And we could control that cutoff using this. So 100 and at hertz 103, any frequency above this will be, below this, because it's set to process low frequencies, will have the chorus effect on it. If we raise it, any frequency below 1821 hertz will be processed because it's processing anything below this cutoff value. If we change it to high frequency, now only frequencies above this value will be processed. So we want it to process all of our signal right now just to keep it simple. That's what these knobs do, just so you know. You'll probably hear demos of it a little bit later, but we'll make it process high frequencies and we'll set the frequency to be 8 hertz. So anything above 8 hertz, this is well below hearing range, so it should affect our entire signal. And we're going to use wet only. That way we see only our affected signal. So here's our signal coming out. And we have a delay option right here. And this is the amount of time in milliseconds before the delay signal is introduced back into our signal. So if you turn that on, it's not super noticeable on a sine wave. Let's really quick just add some upper harmonics. Turn our delay off. There's our signal. And we turn our delay on. And you see it's getting delayed. Now you see our LFO is modulating at 0, 0, 0. It's not modulating at all. No LFO. So let's turn that on a little bit. And you can see it's sort of working. Now, what the LFO does is it modulates the delay and the depth. So the depth is the amount. So we have our delay coming in, and then depth is that moves the pitch. And the LFO controls the depth. So it'll move the pitch over here and then it'll come back and over here and come back. And that's how we get our slight pitch variations. And it can be really, you can get really rocky results. So let's go ahead and turn our LFO on and it will modulate that for us. And so we see it moving away from the pitch. And if we go back to our sine wave now, oh, oops, we want all these down. What am I doing? So we have our sine wave, and now you'll see. And so as we turn our depth up and our delay up, you'll see the variations get bigger. And because it's only one tone, it'll end up phase canceling. And it looks sort of like, it's the modulation of the depth. It's actually pitch modulation. Frequency modulation, just really small frequency modulation. And you can add, as you see, we have 3 LFOs that control those frequencies, so we can put in 3 clones. And when you do things like add slow values with high values, what ends up happening is it speeds up and then slows down, and it speeds back up and then slows down. And remember, we need our depth because that controls the pitch variation, so our pitch will change a lot and then not change so much, which in this case will not result in the pitch change. because we're not changing the note of the pitch, we're adding it as a feedback loop. So it will simply result in an amplitude change. If we had more harmonic content, it would result in a pitch change. If that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry. It's mostly about how the effect sounds. I mean, you could open up Flowstone and rip apart a chorus effect if you really wanted to. See exactly how it works. But this is mostly just for practical use. So we'll turn our depth way up and our delay way up. And you see it, we've got a pulsing motion. We turn our frequency up a lot, so it's moving fast. Turn our second frequency down. We get a pretty steady pulse, actually. There we go. So it speeds up and slows down. And so that's what I'm talking about. If you go watch my FM, I have a thing, frequency modulation, what is it? It's like a single video. Go watch that. It displays a lot of these concepts. But anyways, that's what those are doing. And then you have stereo image, which just widens your stereo image on the modulation. So the modulated signal will be stereo sent now. So some of it will be sent out the left, some out the right. 180s, completely out one or the other. So as we turn these guys on and introduce some modulation, we see we're getting stereo information. If we make our wave candy display it separately, we'll see that our pulses are happening individually. When you put it all the way together on the wave candy, it just fills in the space showing the phase. And I believe the one in the what appears to be the back is the left and the farther out is the right. Not totally sure about that though. See, as you see, the depth really affects that. And the stereo field really starts to sell the effect. Now, let's go up to a sine wave now, because we've seen pretty much what we need to see. Let's really quick just demonstrate this bottom row right here. Oh no, the most important thing, the sine wave, I need the sine wave for, I haven't demonstrated yet. So this bottom row right here, these are our LFO waves. Right now it's a sine wave. And if we cube it, we'll get a faster sine wave. So let's just really quick, okay. This is actually easier to see and hear on a faster frequency. And so as we turn our sine wave up to, there we go. So let's do something like that. So we have some crazy depth frequency going on at a really short delay rate. And so there's our sine wave at its regular speed. And you see it speeds up, and then you go to the multi-sine, which is if you play more than one sine wave at a time, but it just gets faster. And then it's 3 times the rate of this sine wave. I don't remember, but it's a faster wave. And then you do it again. That's the fastest wave available. And it's way more noticeable on upper frequencies. And there's our second frequency. You could hear it moving around. We could add a third one. So with a really short delay time, it's really obvious. That's really interesting. So yeah, that's what those do. And that's pretty much everything. So let's play some saw wave tones to demonstrate some of this. So let's turn everything down. And we only have wet coming out right now. So this is only affected signal right now. And let's turn our delay up just a little bit. And we'll turn our first frequency on. We'll stereo image it because that's what makes it really lush. And we're going to set the process type to be a low pass. And we only want the low frequencies to be processed. But we want from somewhere around 1,000 hertz down to be processed. To see how this looks in a frequency spectrum, let's add an EQ really quick, EQ2. And so as you can see, 1,000 hertz is right here. So around where the voice pops up all the way down. So that's quite a bit of frequency that's being processed. You see it's only low. And if you go over to the high end, it's only above 1,000 hertz. And you can see it really affects our waveform. Now if we turn the wet so that the dry comes through, we see the change happen. Really interesting. So let's go ahead and we want the low end because that's going to be cool. And we turn our delay up, turn the frequency up. We'll make the delay so it moves, it varies a lot in pitch. Or a more subtle effect. This can be used to achieve some of those dance leads that have that really crunchy frequency stuff at the top end. Let me, well, I'm playing really low notes too right now. Let's open up that harmless and let's change my keyboard setting so play some higher notes. All right, not that high. So that's one option for creating that pitch variation. And one of those, I got a bass sound earlier that I really liked. If we do only wet. It's just like this fat bass. So anyways, that's what the chorus does. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Make a cool effect. And subscribe if you enjoy these videos. And have a blessed day.